Hello, and welcome to Much Talk About Nothing, a show about apparently college football. As always, I'm your host, Grant Ingram, and you can find us anywhere. We are on Instagram, Twitter. I don't think we're on Facebook. We need to get on Facebook. Discord. We have an email, and that's muchtalkaboutnothing@gmail.com. And just go give us a follow, shoot us a message, say hi, tell us you hate our guts. I don't care. Just interaction. The algorithm loves it.
Specifically Ingram's guts.
I mean, most people do. Joining me today is that smart aleck right there. It is Grant Skillen. How you doing today, Grant?
I'm doing good. Had
I'm
almost a rough weekend, but we pulled it out by the skin of our teeth, and here we are.
Oh, good Lord, we've got a lot to talk about.
We do.
So, this past weekend of college football. But first, let me tell you about Manscaped. Support for Much Talk About Nothing is brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over count them, 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping on any order with the code MUCHTALK. If my math's correct, that's about 12 million balls. Um, I know I'm loving my trimmer. The Lawnmower 4.0 is fantastic. I love all the little guards, all like everything. It's skin safe, fantastic. I love my nose hair trimmer. I love like the toner, the deodorant, all of that. Grant, can you speak a little bit to what you're loving about it?
Yeah, I really liked the Lawnmower 4.0. It did a great job shaving my face yesterday, as well as it has this. I don't have it plugged in with USB-C, but it's got a nice little wireless charger for when the very long battery life finally dies.
Yeah, that thing lasts forever. I still haven't plugged mine in yet, like at all. It
I
is
I
just
charged mine as soon as I got it, but haven't charged it since.
yeah, it's just fantastic. We've had him for about a month now. It is just awesome. Yeah, and then the underwear are heavenly. Um, and the t-shirts they sent us are fantastic, if a little uncomfortable, only socially. They're comfortable shirts. They're just uncomfortably sociably. Um, because I don't know. I believe that your balls will thank you. I don't want that on my back all the time, you know. But Manscaped is the way to go. Go check them out. Make sure you use promo code MuchTalk to get 20% off and free worldwide shipping with your order. I cannot recommend them enough. From the bottom of my heart, go check out Manscaped. And when you do, just make sure you use promo code MuchTalk so they know that we sent you. All right. This past weekend of college football was absolutely whack. Grant, what do you got to just kind of open the thing up?
I mean, I feel like I kind of have to open up with Alabama, Texas, one of the first games of the day and one of the craziest games of the day.
Oh, good Lord.
I
Yeah.
mean, that was that was a very rough game. So, for anyone who didn't watch, Alabama won 20 to 19. So last week, I know Grant and I believe we both predicted Alabama would win. I don't
We
think
did.
either of us thought it'd be that close. I think nobody in the world thought it would be that close.
Texas should have won the game. It came down
Absolutely.
to one tackle.
Texas should have won the game. So, a little recap for those who didn't see it. Alabama gets the ball first, drives on. That's not showing times. So let me pull up this where it shows times of drive so I can make sure I'm not being stupid. Okay. Alabama gets the first drive of the game, drives down, gets a field goal. Texas gets the ball and starts the trend of Quinn Ewers looked great.
Mm-hmm.
First drive took Texas down the field, got a field goal. Then Alabama's next drive, kickoff got returned 19 yards. Next play, Jace McClellan took it 81 yards for a touchdown. Not sure what went wrong for Texas there, but he kind of broke through the line of scrimmage on the right side, and then no one was there,
Right. That's
and
exactly how
he
it happened.
and he went 81 yards. Then came the next Texas drive, and I think an unfounded controversy, personally, but that's drive Quinn Ewers. Let's see. Quinn Ewers throws 17 yards to Jordan Whittington, then throws 46 yards to Xavier Worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next play from the Alabama one, Quinn Ewers snaps it's kind of running back, jumps in the air to throw it out of the back of the end zone, and he gets sacked, or not sacked, he gets tackled by Dallas Turner, one of Alabama's defensive ends. And because Quinn had jumped up, Dallas was about to hit him as soon as he let the ball go. Dallas hit him, took him down, and Quinn Ewers' left shoulder got driven into the ground, and he has a sprained clavicle. So he's out
Now,
4 to 6 weeks.
now that's controversial because it looked like a dirty hit. Why did it look
In
like a
no
dirty
way
hit?
looked like a
Because it was
dirty hit.
probably a dirty hit.
Did you watch it did you watch it
I
live?
did see it live.
So Quinn he jumps up. That's the first thing that goes wrong for him is when you're up, you've got to come back down, and when you come down, you go down harder. Second,
Right.
there was no way Dallas Turner could have avoided hitting him because if Quinn Ewers hadn't just gotten the ball off, he was going to get sacked. There's no way that he could have avoided hitting him. And he didn't drive him down dirty either. He's just sacked him. Quinn just happened to be up in the air, so he came down faster.
See, I felt like he could have hit him a little less hard. Like, yeah, you're right. He couldn't have not hit him, but it was kind of it looked like he was being driven. And I'm just gonna say this as a former student. And I grew up going to games at Alabama. They are kind of known for playing a little bit dirty.
Yeah, but I think in this instance, the announcers even right away, the announcers were clear that they didn't think it was a dirty hit at all. The one on Quinn Ewers. I don't think it was dirty. I don't see any argument to say it's dirty. You can say maybe he was driven. Here, I'll pull up the play right now on YouTube.
Yeah. It just looked a little ugly. That's all I'm saying. I will admit when I'm wrong. But I'm not wrong.
Let's see. So Quinn Ewers is almost taken down by Will Anderson's running back, jumps up. Here, I'll send you this link to watch it. I mean, to me, it just looks like he's sacking the quarterback.
Yeah, I'm
And
looking
he's
at it
sacking
too.
the quarterback, but because Quinn was up in the air, he came down harder than a quarterback normally would. I think if that's a normal sack, we don't think anything
Dude,
about it.
no, I'm looking at it myself. No.
What's he? Okay, so there's no way he can avoid it. There's no way he can
No,
not.
but he didn't have to go to the ground with the guy.
Yeah, he did because he was running full steam at him, hit him. There's no way you can get out of that. I don't see dirty intent in there at all.
It just looks ugly. It does not, it's not something that he had to do. And if you look at the
It
way,
is something he had to do. He couldn't have avoided it. It looks worse in hindsight because Quinn got hurt. If Quinn
no,
didn't get hurt, we wouldn't be talking about it at all.
it's just a bad hit. He, after the ball was let go, he didn't even try to let up at all.
Because it was so quick after the ball was let go. Quinn lets the ball go and he's a yard away from him, running at full steam at him to hit him. No one can stop that quickly and not hit him.
I don't need him to stop that quickly and not hit him, but he really had like 3 yards and he could not have gone to the ground.
I
Like he could have brushed off of Ewers and stopped. Instead,
no,
he went.
he
He
couldn't
could have.
have.
He could have, because he's 3 yards away when that ball's let go. He could have just
No, he's
glanced
not.
it.
I don't. Hold on, I'm
I'm
watching
looking
this
at
in
the video.
slow-mo. I'll put a clip in right now. He is a yard away from Quinn Ewers when Quinn Ewers throws the ball.
When Ewers jumps, he
Here, let
is
me
out
send
of the
you.
frame in this video I'm watching.
Let me send you the video I have because it's in
I'll give you 2 yards.
2 yards when he here. I mean, maybe even slow this down.
But you can still bump into the guy and not still go through with the full I'm going to the ground tackle. You can run into him and knock him over without driving him into the dirt.
Not in live action. It's looked back on worse because Quinn got hurt. In live action, no one's going to think a thing about it if Quinn doesn't get hurt.
Okay. But I still say in that situation, in order to minimize the risk of injury, he could have just not gone to the ground.
In order to minimize the risk of injury, Quinn didn't have to jump a couple feet in the air.
Well, he did to make the play. This guy wasn't making a play. The ball had been released. Yeah, he was only a couple of yards away. You're right. But once he saw the
He
ball
was
was gone, he could have tried to not go into the dirt.
Hold on, let me send you a picture of this where Quinn
I don't have my
still.
phone in here, so if you're texting me stuff, I'm not seeing it.
Okay. I will let me see if I can get this stopped where I want it. I will put this picture I'm taking right now. I will overlay it in the video.
Oh.
So to picture what I'm seeing, Dallas's front foot's about a yard and a half away from Quinn. His arms or his hands are a yard away, running full speed at him while Quinn still is in the air with the ball in his hand.
Heck, if you really want to minimize the injury, all he has to do is hit lower. Instead, when Quinn goes up, he goes up with him and then drives all of him
So
into
this
the
is
ground.
I don't know if this is gonna be reversed or not when you see it. So here is Dallas Turner. Back foot's 2 yards, front foot's a yard and a half. He's running full speed right now, and it's hard to see.
But then continue watching. Watch him stand up.
But that is the ball. Can you see the little thing?
Yeah.
I know it's hard to see. That's the ball still in Quinn's hand.
Yeah. Okay. But we know at that point he's releasing it. We know that ball's going.
Yeah, but Dallas Turner is trying to hit him, obviously.
Watch the play go through.
I've watched it many times.
So if you watch it go through, what you'll see is he stands up and drives Ewers into the ground.
I don't think he stands up. He maybe jumps a little bit, but he's going to sack a guy who's in the air. So Quinn Ewers jumps up and puts himself in a worse spot, a spot where he can get hurt, versus just throwing the ball away and just getting hit, and no one would have thought a thing of it.
I'm really sitting there looking at it, and I mean, there are ways the defender could have just not hurt the quarterback. At that point, the play's over. You don't have a play on him. You don't. Once the ball is released, you're right. If he jumped a little bit, there's no point. The ball's gone. There's no point going up and trying to get all of your weight going into the ground with the dude.
Okay, tell me who. Look, you saw the picture. Tell me who in the world can stop when you're this close to someone. You're 3 feet from someone running full speed. You're going to hit that guy hard.
Yeah, don't stop. Don't go up. Don't do your best to drive him into the dirt. That's all I'm saying.
Drive him in the dirt.
Yeah, don't do your best to do that. Like if you stay a little bit lower, you hit him at the waist and he maybe rebounds into the dirt, but your full weight is not on his shoulder.
If you hit him in the waist and then you take him down, you're going to take him down. The back of his head's going to slam the ground and he's going to get a brain injury.
I don't think so, but okay. I mean, I don't think we're going to agree here. It looked ugly to me. It just looked a little dirty. And I'm not a Texas fan. I want Texas to get the crap beat out of them by Kansas State. I think we've got a good chance of doing it, but I just don't like that play.
I don't see it. And I think there's, if I'm honest, I think there's a bias both ways here. I can be biased towards not wanting it to be dirty. You, I think, if you're honest, could be more biased towards you almost wish it was dirty.
I mean, not really, but okay. I mean, I don't almost wish it was dirty.
You've talked
like
about
Quinn Ewers
how
being hurt.
In your eyes, Alabama has a history of dirty plays. So in your eyes, if you see something that looks like on the edge of dirty for you, you're more likely to put it in dirty because of the history you see.
Okay.
Do you think that's fair?
I can see it. But what I'm saying is looking at this objectively with the idea of just I for Kansas State, Texas not having a 5-star quarterback is not the end of the world. I'm not
that Texas. If so, regardless of the play, I think everyone can agree if Quinn Ewers does not get hurt, Texas beats Alabama pretty easily.
Easy. Easy, handily beats them by 4 touchdowns.
And honestly, I would say Texas would go undefeated and win the national championship if Quinn Ewers didn't get hurt based off of how they looked in that game. The defense looked fast, looked sharp. Just the defense looked great all game. Shut down our receivers. Bryce had nowhere to go with the ball. The
I'm just gonna
offense, they have Xavier Worthy looks great still, but Hudson Card came in and then Hudson was hobbled, so he wasn't able to take full advantage of throwing it to his speed.
yeah.
Um,
So we
I
had two
think
quarterbacks get hurt in one game.
that's just unfortunate.
It is
The one where Hudson got hurt, it was like 10 people from both teams in a huge pile. And when
yeah,
that happens, someone's going to come out hurt.
right. Um, but I don't know if Texas goes undefeated because looking at it, I don't know if it was so much that Alabama or that Texas was fantastic, or if Alabama just looked like crap.
I
Like
think,
being honest, Alabama had no offense. Their defense was eh.
well,
Um,
so yeah, our defense did not look great. We definitely got bailed out there because of the quarterback situation. But
mhm.
offense wise, the Texas defense, they were covering everything. Right now, we don't have a Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. Um, how am I forgetting his name?
And you don't have
We
Jamison
don't
Williams.
have one of those guys. Our running backs, Jameer Gibbs is good, but in the second and third quarter, the Texas defense just shut down the entire field.
So
Bryce
that
Young
that
had nowhere to throw. We couldn't run. Receivers couldn't get open.
so that furthers my point though. I don't know how much of it was that Texas looked great and that Alabama looked like crap. I made the point, I believe, last year. I know I've been saying it for a long time. I don't think Bryce Young's that good. I think he's like the last 3 or 4 Alabama quarterbacks. He dumps it out 5 yards. The receiver runs 80, 90%
So
of the time.
okay, so part of that is that's our offense. Our offense, for the most part, is we take what the defense gives us and then we go for a deep shot when it's there. We don't
Right.
have that deep threat right now. So our offense is really take what's there. The Texas defense was good enough, and Sarkeesian knows the offense. They brought in Gary Patterson from TCU as a special assistant to Sark, and the announcer said they spent 3 months working on this game plan for Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Sark knew what we were going to do. They took it away. Bryce Young, though, still stayed composed the entire game, and the most important thing is he didn't make mistakes. There was nothing there, but he didn't do anything costly. He didn't throw balls he shouldn't and throw interceptions
But he also didn't make anything happen. So my
because
point
there
is
was
simply
nothing to
that
make happen. And then
Texas
once
has a
what
Texas has a good defense. It's
very
a
good
solid.
defense,
I wouldn't say very good. I'd say it's solid.
very good.
I would say Texas's defense is about on par with what you're going to see out of Tennessee this year.
Tennessee?
Yeah,
No, Tennessee's defense is nowhere near Texas's defense.
yeah. I don't see that at all from what I've seen Tennessee
Tennessee's
play.
defense did not look great. Tennessee won the game at Pitt, but I would not say that Tennessee looked good for most of the game against Pitt.
Tennessee held Pitt to less than 4 scores.
Yeah, Texas held us to 10 up until the fourth quarter. And I would say that our offense is I maybe better than Pitt's.
But remember, you don't have receivers this year.
We don't. So I forgot, or I may have mentioned it. We do have a deep threat guy, Tyler Harrell, who came over from Louisville, but he's hurt right now. But he's not as good as Jamison Williams, but he's gonna be our take the top off the defense guy. He's that fast. I think he's a 4-2 guy.
Wow.
So once he can do that, then the safeties have to go deep to watch for him. Then underneath game works. And Jameer Gibbs coming out of the backfield will benefit from that. Our receivers need to improve. We have the talent, but they don't have the experience.
But if
Trayshawn
we
Holden looked good in the fourth quarter with Bryce. And Bryce, like I said, he didn't do anything great in the second and third quarters, but the most important thing there was he didn't make mistakes. He stayed calm and collected into the fourth quarter. Then when he started taking off and running, that opened the defense. The Texas defense started cracking. He started finding the guys. Trayshawn Holden, Corey Brooks had a couple of good catches. Jameer Gibbs had some good catches. Was able to drive us down the field, get the touchdown, drive us down again to get the field goal. The most important thing Bryce does is he takes what the defense gives him and he does not make mistakes, and
But the
that's what was
defense,
able to keep us in the game.
without weapons, the defense isn't giving him anything. Because I mean, again, where I was going with that is Texas is solid. You think you have a chance against Georgia?
I think if we can
I don't
have
think you
Tyler
score against
Harrell,
Georgia.
I think if we have Tyler Harrell back and our receivers get more experience throughout the season, I think we have a shot. I'm not going to say right now that we win. Do we face Georgia though? Because we would only face them in the SEC championship, and neither of us
Right,
think Georgia's going to make it there. Or at least we didn't
right.
before the season.
Well, Georgia's looking good, but yeah, you're right. I don't think they're going to make it there. But my point is simply that Georgia's known for their defense, right? I
But
don't
if you
think
don't think they're
Texas's
going to
defense
get
is
there,
that good.
then no, Texas's defense is not as good as Georgia's. But neither of us think that that game's going to happen because we don't think Georgia's going to make it.
But my point is just that I don't think, let's say it does. Let's say it's just like last year. They both make both games. They both play off and the
Based off
SEC
of what we've
title.
seen,
I think it's a shutdown.
I don't think it's a shutout, but I think if Georgia makes it, I think they would beat us based off of what we saw. Unless something changes drastically with Tyler Harrell coming back and our receivers developing and getting more experience. I haven't seen anything that would make me think we could beat the Georgia defense.
When does
But
Tyler
but
Harrell
neither
come
of
back?
us, I'm not sure.
Um,
But
let me look this
but it's
up.
also I agree. I don't think we could beat Georgia, but neither of us think still. I still don't know if I think Georgia's going to make it to the SEC championship. If they
Nah,
do, I don't think we beat them.
I yeah, I don't think after watching y'all against Texas, I get very scared about Arkansas. I get very scared about Tennessee. I get very scared about Ole Miss. I think all three of those teams are far better than Texas was, especially once you hobble
Harrell has
Texas.
a sprained foot.
And if you don't get Harold back in 2 weeks, you got to face Arkansas without him. You'll lose that game.
I think we've got 2 weeks. Who we played this weekend?
You play ULM. I'm going to be at that game. You play ULM, then you turn around and play Vanderbilt next week.
If we have Vanderbilt,
Mm-hmm.
that's 2 weeks for our receivers to get some more experience because Holden was a backup last year. He didn't play much. Corey Brooks didn't play a ton either till the injuries. He was, I don't know if I mentioned this in the text, but he's the guy who caught the touchdown in the Auburn game last year from Bryce.
Yeah.
And that's another example of where our offense was shut down, but Bryce stayed calm, stayed cool, didn't make mistakes, and was able to benefit off of mistakes by the Auburn defense. They happened at the end of the game.
Yep. I can see it. I just don't. I have a hard time believing it's going to be a good year for Alabama. But Alabama has a tendency of not ever losing when they should and
It's
winning.
gonna be a tough year. Our defense did not look good. We got some stops, but I think even a full like a healthy Hudson Card, I think they beat us relatively easily
Yeah.
because they were able to get down the field with a quarterback who was as mobile as Tom Brady, who needed his mobility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he hurt.
So
I think it was his right ankle, which was even worse for him because it was harder for him to like get power on his
right.
throws.
So just out of curiosity, looking at it now, how many games do you think Alabama ends up pulling off?
I need to pull up the schedule, and right now
You play A&M, you play Arkansas, you play Tennessee, you play Ole Miss, and of course you play Auburn.
I think we beat Ole Miss or not. I think we beat for sure A&M is what I meant to say.
I think a high school football team from like Arkansas could beat A&M.
Let me pull up our schedule.
This schedule or this segment has really just been the Grants talk about Alabama.
Yeah, why I pulled up 2022 Alabama. Why is it showing our players from last year?
I don't know.
Yeah, we have essentially talked about Alabama
How
for
do
like
you
30
lose
minutes.
to app? Yeah. Um, let's kind of move on. We'll come back to that. Um, big shakeup in I guess the top 10, Notre Dame.
Marshall.
Marshall. Marshall could be a top 10 team.
Marshall, when I checked the rankings, they were, I don't think Yahoo. Oh, Yahoo will let me pull this up. Okay, wonderful. Marshall is 4 votes behind Oregon to be number 25.
after beating number 8.
Hmm.
Uh, why?
I don't know. And they're two behind A&M, who I honestly don't think should be ranked. I don't think they should have been as high as they were, anyways. But
No, and you've got a whole
I don't
argument
think they
about
should
that.
be ranked after that. I mean,
I mean,
Appalachian State's 2 off of 25.
here's a question: what do you do with an unbeaten Marshall? They will have had to have beaten Notre Dame. They will
Hmm.
have had to have beaten Appalachian State.
Are those their 2 hardest games?
Oh, I mean, Bowling Green, Troy, Gardner Webb, Louisiana, James Madison, Old Dominion, Georgia Southern, and Georgia
So,
State.
I mean, the Notre Dame one's a good win, although Notre Dame's offense just, oof, they have not looked good. I mean, they
They
scored
don't.
10 points on Ohio State. They scored 21 on Marshall. Tyler Buckner threw 2 interceptions. I don't know if he got hurt or if or they brought the backup in. I cannot remember. I think he may have
Wait,
gotten hurt. Don't quote me on that.
Notre Dame has an offense?
No, they don't. That's the problem.
Yeah, the year looks rough for Notre Dame.
It
There's
does.
no
And I
point
mean,
even recapping that game. That was
they
just
gave up
ugly.
more points to Marshall than they did to Ohio State. So one argument I want to make is, I know you don't want to get back to Alabama. Let me pull up that first game, because Ohio State's offense, it was a tough grinding game. They only scored 21 points on Notre Dame. CJ Stroud had a decent game, but nothing crazy like we thought he would. But we knew he was going to bounce back. But he has better weapons than Alabama. I think
Yeah,
CJ Stroud and Bryce Young are probably the 2 best quarterbacks in the country.
and I don't think Bryce Young is very good. I
I
did.
don't understand that at all. I don't
He
know how
don't.
you can say that.
He doesn't make plays.
He does make plays. You saw him take off and run, and that opened up the Texas defense.
I did see him take off and run. You're
He
right.
beat Georgia last year, and we didn't have we lost. I believe we lost Jameson before the championship, and then Mechie went down in the championship last year. I can't.
but
It was one of those two. I can't remember if it was that order or not. But
he still had the weapon. Like he again, his you're right. Alabama takes what the defense gives them.
mhm.
They don't make things happen.
We
And
don't right
so
now. We don't have the people that make things happen. We don't have Jalen Waddle. We don't have Jameson Williams. We don't have Jerry Judy.
but
We've
you
got to
argue you have
find
the
those
best
people.
quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. See, my point is
Hmm.
just that when you do have those weapons, he dumps it out 5 yards to them. They run 85. I don't see like most of his 90-yard, whatever, like, the long plays that he's known for aren't his fault. Like it's somebody else that did the work. And so I'm just sitting there like, yeah, he doesn't make very many mistakes, but he doesn't do anything.
He does. He does though.
He couldn't against Texas.
He did. He took us down the field twice. He took what the defense gave him, because that's what our offense does. He was efficient. He was 27 of 39. No, it wasn't for a lot of yards. It was 5.5 yards an attempt. But there was nothing all game. So he was having to take what the Texas defense gave him. And that's what he did. He was playing smart by doing that, not playing risky by trying to force something that's not there, because
I
that's
just
how you lose a game like that easily, is when you start getting, you just get no, that's not the word.
I just don't see
Get
that.
shattered. You get your confidence gets shattered. You just try to throw stuff up and make stuff happen, and that's when you lose, versus waiting, and then that big run opened up the Texas defense and gave just enough cracks for him to start finding people.
Yeah, we're not going to agree on that. I just don't see him. I don't see him as good as Stetson Bennett. I don't see him as good as
You're
oh
I no, I can't take that. He was last year, he threw 43 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
he
You're
threw
that's You cannot make that argument.
he dumps the ball. That's all he does. The receivers scored.
I
I don't see Bryce Young making incredible plays. I don't see him make. I don't see Bryce Young being any better than the backup quarterback that you've got there that can do the exact same thing of dumping the ball 5 yards and letting the guy run up the middle. I just don't see it. It's
I
been that
I
way for the last three Alabama quarterbacks. They just aren't that good. They get to the NFL where the defense actually exists, and they're not that good.
are you okay? Hold on. Let
Let's look at.
so
I mean, we can literally look at Tua. Tua is
okay.
not.
Look at Mac's rookie year last year. He had a 67% completion percentage, 24 touchdowns, 10
Yeah,
interceptions. Great rookie
because
year for the Patriots.
he went to the professional version of Alabama. They do the exact same thing. If you look at a team like Miami, where you actually need to make something happen at quarterback, the Alabama
Tua
guy
has
couldn't
not
do it.
been the same since his injury. He had more velocity on his throw before the injury. Now he doesn't have the velocity, but he's accurate, has good timing, and that's what he did yesterday. I don't know if you watched the Dolphins Patriots game, but he didn't do anything crazy, but he made accurate throws, put the ball where it needed to be, let his receivers make plays. That's what you're supposed to do. When you have those weapons around you, that's what you do.
Okay.
Jalen in Philadelphia, he's more of a runner, but he's starting to get better as a thrower. I drafted him on my fantasy team. I think he had a
Jalen,
great
I
year
don't count
last
as an
year.
Alabama quarterback. He was an Oklahoma guy, and he actually could make plays.
I mean, he took the year off as the backup for Tua, came in against Georgia, led us down the field, scored 2 touchdowns, and won us the game. He was the guy he was at Oklahoma. He got that way because he was the backup at Alabama for a year, just learning and getting better as a passer.
I don't know if he got it that way, but regardless, I just don't think Alabama makes good quarterbacks. I think they have a good offense. I think they've got a good offensive system, but I don't think their quarterback needs to be good, and I don't think he is.
Well, let's just move on
Okay.
because
So A&M looked like trash. Got beat by App State.
yeah,
Got
yeah.
beat by App
Later
State.
later on in the episode, I'm gonna make. I'm not gonna say Jimbo should be fired right now.
But you're gonna make the case.
He's not going to be. I don't know that he should right now. I think he should get another year or two. But I'm gonna make a case of why I think it would not be if they didn't have him signed through 2031. I would
Why
be
did they
surprised if he made it out of this season.
why did they sign him through 2031? Oh gosh.
I mean, he
Um
beat Alabama last year, but other than that, they were 8-3.
yeah.
They had one
Other
good season in 2020 when they were 9-1. I'll wait to get into
yeah,
some of that.
other than that, the big losses of the week, Texas Tech beat Houston, Washington State beat Wisconsin,
Mhm.
um Kent beat Oklahoma. No, I'm kidding. Kent
Kentucky beat Florida.
Kentucky beat Florida. Bad too.
Anthony Richardson took a huge step back
Yeah.
as a passer. He did not look
BYU beat
good.
Baylor. BYU is a legitimate team this year.
Mhm.
I think if BYU can win out, which we'll see if BYU can win out, I think if BYU wins out, I think they make the playoffs. They've got to play Oregon, they've got to play a now unranked Notre Dame, and they have to play Arkansas. If they win those three games, I think they make the playoffs.
At what point this season are we going to say that Notre Dame's not a hard team to beat? Because I think we're getting close to that territory that we shouldn't consider them as a good team to beat.
I just called them an unranked Notre Dame. They're 0-2. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not good, but that is a team on the roster. Like, and looking at it, I think Notre Dame's probably better than Utah State.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. We
Maybe.
beat them 55-0.
Yeah, maybe. Another team that had a tough row to hoe was Pitt. They got beat by Tennessee by a touchdown. Um, Tennessee looked good that game.
They
And
they didn't
then
look great at the beginning. They were down, I think it was like 10 or 14-0 at some point in the first quarter, but then they came back. They were able to be able to shut down the Pittsburgh offense decently well. Offense started playing better. That part of the reason is because of the Pittsburgh defense, the best way to beat them was to just throw it deep as much as you could until
yeah.
something stuck.
Mhm.
So they had a couple of overthrows and a couple of misses, but once they started hitting on it more consistently, they were able to start making a comeback and ended up winning that game.
Yeah. Um, Looking at it, a team to look out for would be South Carolina. They held Arkansas fairly close. 2 touchdowns, but still like fairly close.
Mhm.
It was a game that they were not expected to really have much of a chance in. So I think I think you could watch out for South Carolina because they've got Spencer Rattler now. They might be pretty good. Um, but
I
yeah,
mean, in Arkansas, they've got KJ Jefferson, who, as a passer, I mean, against South Carolina, he was 18 of 21 for 162 and a touchdown. Their offense is kind of similar to Florida, where they're more of a running offense than a passing offense.
yep, for
Um,
sure.
a little bit about Florida, that Anthony Richardson did not look good
No.
in end of sentence in that game. He was 14 of 35 for
Ooh.
143 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, only ran for 4 yards. His longest run in the entire game was 4 yards.
Oh gosh,
Boy,
that's
does
not
that look
good.
bad last week. Um,
Yeah, it's gosh.
but first game, he looked very promising because that was a good Utah team. Like, legitimately, like they beat whoever they faced like 73-7 this past
Yeah,
weekend.
but they placed like Southern. Let's see,
Well,
they
yeah,
placed the
but
Southern Utah Thunderbirds. I didn't realize Southern Utah had a team. They've
uh, so we have the Roaring Mormons. What's that team's nickname? The
so
Southern Mormons.
the Southern Mormons. I don't know. I mean, the Roaring Mormons. I mean, BYU was just founded by Brigham Young, but yeah, no, Southern Utah plays nobody and will never play anybody, and half the time they lose to nobody. They lose. I think Southern Utah loses games on bye weeks. Um,
They
but
lose games that they don't even play in.
yep. But the Baylor game was good. That was a 2 overtime game.
Mhm,
It's an impressive win for the Roaring Mormons. I'm interested to see
definitely.
how far they cry. Um, Now if we look at the top 25, Grant, you want to go through that?
Yes, let me go ahead and get that pulled back up. So, number one spot is now Georgia, which I think that's fair. Alabama does not deserve to be number one. You can make an argument that we should even be maybe 3 or 4 after that game.
I would have argued you should have dropped to Clemson's spot at 5.
I think that's pretty fair. Clemson looked good, but Georgia, what, Samford? Oh no.
Right. No, it wasn't a game that they could have lost.
Yeah, but
But
they still looked
Alabama
good.
looked ugly. Like I have a hard time just saying, hey, they should have just dropped 1. But I mean, I'm one person, so it is what it is.
Number two, we got Alabama. We've talked about that plenty today, so there's not more really to talk about.
Nope.
Number three, we've got Ohio State. Um, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They did their job. They beat
Michigan. So actually, we didn't mention that game. So I don't know if it's official yet. Yeah, it is official. JJ McCarthy is the starting quarterback for Michigan.
oh cool.
He went 11 of 12 for 229 and 3 touchdowns.
Wow. That's a good day.
Yeah. I
I
mean, they were
mean,
facing what, Hawaii,
they played
but still,
Hawaii.
when you're facing a team like Hawaii, that's what you're supposed to do. So he did that. Cade McNamara didn't. So
It is what it be. Yeah.
yeah, honestly, this might sound bad, but because Cade was their starter last year, I almost wonder if that was Harbaugh's way of he didn't want to outright name McNamara the starter over or name McCarthy the starter over McNamara. So he gave him each a game, knowing JJ would probably look better, so he could start him.
Right. And I think that's fair. I do want to mention, I forgot to mention earlier, the Kansas State game. We throttled Missouri, like throttled Missouri. We didn't give up a touchdown to the last play. They got 5. It was I'd call it a classless ending. People are classless ending. Um, they were trying. They went for it on 4th down and got like I don't even remember what the penalty was, and got another play with no time left to score a touchdown. It's the only touchdown we've given up. We like slaughtered Missouri.
Mhm.
Um,
So one
which
question about that game, Adrian Martinez was only 9 of 20.
right.
I didn't watch it. How did he look throwing the ball? Did it look that bad?
It didn't look that bad. But I didn't. I mean, I didn't see much to go with it, but I don't think it was that bad.
I think it
Now
was
our
also wasn't
defense
there
was
was a
killer.
delay. There was a rain delay, so that's also
Yeah.
a factor.
So the ball's wet. Yeah. It was bad. There were 2 rain delays. It was rough. But our defense looked killer. We had 4 picks on 4 consecutive drives. Actually, we had 4 picks in 5 plays on 2 different quarterbacks. It was
Yeah,
incredible.
the question there is that just Missouri not having two good quarterbacks?
Well, I mean, we still have to catch it.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Brady
no,
Cook came from Brady Cook was a backup somewhere. Was
yeah,
it Georgia?
I don't know. Um,
I don't know.
anyway, as we're going down this line, we've got Clemson at number 5 because, of course, we have
BJ
Oklahoma.
looked good. He was very efficient. I think he threw an interception at one point, but the parts of it I saw, he looked very good, very efficient,
I
very
don't.
agile. He had a
Who did
couple
they
good
play?
runs. They played Furman.
Yeah, okay. They beat Furman like we beat Missouri. Um,
hmm
then we have Oklahoma at 6.
They lost to Kent.
No, yeah, they lost to Kent State. Yeah, no. We have
Yep.
Oklahoma West at 7.
hmm I think
Uh,
that's fair. I mean, they Stanford scored 28 on them, but the offense looked good as always.
yeah, I mean
Defense is
they.
always going to be the question under Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, but I mean they look good enough. We have Oklahoma State. So we have 3
Mhm.
Oklahoma teams from 6 to 7 to 8. One of them just happens to be located in Southern California. Um,
Yeah. Number 9, we've got Kentucky after that win versus Florida. I think that's very fair.
I think that's
Um,
fair.
right behind them, we've got Arkansas. I think that's fair to have Arkansas right behind them because Kentucky beat a better team.
Right, they have the better signature win at this point. We have Michigan State at 11, which okay. Who did
Mm.
they play? I
Is that
didn't. I didn't.
Akron?
Yeah, they beat they beat the Akron Zips 52-zip. Which, by the way, maybe
Peyton Thorne, though, their starting quarterback threw 18, 28, 212, no touchdown, 2 picks.
wow.
That could be
Hmm.
something to watch. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know if it was really bad or not, but just saying
Wait,
that could be something to
who's
watch.
starting QB?
Michigan State.
Threw 2 picks and no touchdowns,
hmm
and they won 52-0.
Yes.
That's almost more impressive.
Who's their running back? Because I know they had Kenneth Walker last year. They
I
got
don't even
Jalen
know.
Berger, went 17 for 107. Backup went 15 for 81. Third string went 8 for 57. 6 touchdowns between them.
Yeah. Coming in after them, we have the Roaring Mormons.
Mhm.
Up 9 spots after beating Baylor. I think that's fair. I'd honestly probably
Maybe
move them
even
up.
higher than that.
That's what I was about to say. I'd probably bump them up a little higher, but I don't know who you knocked down to do that.
I mean, you probably knock down Michigan State, or maybe like BYU, Michigan State, Arkansas.
Arkansas has better wins.
Yeah, but that was a
They beat,
closer win versus South Carolina. I mean,
but they
Baylor's the better win out of them
right. You're
because Arkansas beat Cincinnati and then beat South Carolina.
right, but Arkansas beat last year's playoff team, and I mean, you're right. I agree. BYU should be higher, but I have a hard time moving Arkansas to 12. Um,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
we'll
I
just
don't
see.
have an issue with.
We'll
I
just
mean,
see
I
how
really
BYU plays.
the
They
only
beat
thing
Oregon,
so
they'll
far that
bump
you
up.
maybe could change would be Alabama lower, but
I would have lowered Alabama. I would have swapped them with. I would have swapped. I'd have lowered them to 5 and just moved 5 through 3 up.
I mean that's
Um,
probably fair. I mean, let's see how we look against Louisiana Monroe. That's who we're playing, right? Yeah. I mean, we're probably gonna crush them, but
let's see how we look against Louisiana.
well, no, I mean, let's look at how we bounce back. Do we bounce back and have a rough game against them, or do we bounce back and do what we normally do to a team like that?
And beat up UL Monroe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have Miami at 13.
hmm
Okay. We have Utah at 14. They fell
Interesting.
one
They put
spot.
Miami right or Utah right above Tennessee
Yeah, but
because
somehow
Tennessee's got a good win, and Utah has a loss to Florida.
So listen to this though. Utah fell one spot following a 73-7 win. I've
I
never
mean,
seen that.
I mean, they phase two is SUU. That's all I see on
And
Yahoo as
Miami Rose beating Southern Miss. Like I
they
don't
beat
see
they beat let's see
they
in
beat Southern
Miami.
Miss.
Yeah.
They rose 2 spots beating Southern Miss, and Utah fell a spot after they beat the crap out of Southern Utah.
Hold on, let
The
me
crying Mormons.
before I say something stupid, let me check.
The crying
Utah beat an
Mormons.
FCS team, Miami beat an FBS team.
Yeah, fair enough. Um,
Tennessee 15 after they beat Pitt. They said they struggled early, looked good later on. That was a game I did watch. I think you could argue them over Utah,
I
maybe
could
even
have
them
argued.
over Miami.
I was about to say I would argue them over Utah because they had a better win. But
Hmm.
I mean over both of them. I don't know why they only bumped up 9. I mean, I'm happy they're in the top 15, but I'd have bumped them up with the Kentucky Arkansas line.
I think with time, once they start seeing, I think Tennessee is going to keep winning games. I think they'll slowly move up at least in the top 10.
Is Tennessee going to keep winning? Oh yeah, they're playing Akron this week.
Yeah, which I might be at that game, so I can hopefully give a first-hand account of Hendon Hooker going sicko mode on Akron.
Just slaughtering the zip. Um,
Yeah. Then we
then we
got
have North
North
Carolina.
Carolina State.
Yep.
Who's that they beat?
Um,
Oh,
let's see.
Miami.
They
Miami's
beat
got
Charleston
A&M
Southern.
coming up next week.
Yeah, that should be an easy game for Miami, as we'll make the case for in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when you look at and BYU's got Oregon, but when you look at the top 11, I don't really see anyone. Oklahoma's facing Nebraska. Scott Frost got fired. Forgot to
Yeah,
mention that.
that's the big news of the week, right? Scott
No one
Frost ate
cares.
it.
No one cares about
I
Nebraska
was I
anyways.
was surprised that Scott Frost ate it because I believe in Scott Frost. I'm interested to see if he actually gets a job.
He
Yeah,
he he had a couple good seasons at UCF, came to Nebraska and
didn't.
didn't. Yeah. Um,
Um,
but
and
back to
actually, he was in close games against teams he should have gotten slaughtered by, and then lost games to teams he should have murdered. That's just how it went.
mhm.
Um, Georgia Southern being an example. Sorry, Kaylee. Um,
Yeah.
then
17, we
Baylor.
got
That's
Baylor.
yeah.
I think that's a
But
fair spot for him. I didn't get to watch the BYU Baylor game, but didn't I go? I think I saw it win like double overtime.
it went double overtime. I mean, knock up 9 spots, but or 8 spots, but I feel like if they win out, they're in contention
Yeah, I mean they're
because
not in a they lost to BYU, but they're not in a terrible spot.
they lost to a good BYU.
Hmm.
Then you've got Florida at 18.
Yeah, they looked good first week, like we said last week. Not
Not as
really
good.
so much.
Nope.
You could argue maybe even drop them lower than that,
Eh,
but we'll see
I
how they
mean,
bounce back.
they
They're
lost to
facing
number
Southern
20
Florida,
Kentucky. I don't
so
drop them any lower than 20. Um,
yeah. 19, you got Wake Forest. Sam Hartman was back for them.
they
Had a good
slaughtered
game.
Vandy.
Hmm?
They slaughtered Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
Like slaughtered
maybe
Vanderbilt. Well,
if you're gonna
beat
be
them by 20.
picky, maybe a little worrying that Vanderbilt scored 25 on them.
Hey, you never know. Vanderbilt might be good this year.
So I have a
Vanderbilt
friend,
might be
or I
good
had a
this year.
friend growing up who was a Vandy fan. He still is, but every year, I remember every year growing up, this is our year. We're gonna win the national championship. Win like 2 games. No, this is our year. We're gonna win.
Have you ever apologized to him for his losses?
No.
Oh. And then Ole Miss at 20, which is, I mean, okay.
Yeah, I wonder.
They've played
They
better
had
than
a
me.
great game. I wonder. Ooh, I think um Luke Altmaier, who was the guy who started the second game for him, looks like he got hurt.
Mm-mm.
Although I think he was looking good enough where he probably would have won the job had he not gotten hurt. Or
Right.
he threw an interception. Um, and then oh no, he did not look. He was 6 of 13 for 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then threw the pick, and Jackson Dart came in and was 10 of 15 for 182 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So Dart looked better against the same team.
So it won't be too bad. Then we have Texas coming into the rankings on a loss at 21.
I honestly think that's fair because I think Texas should have been ranked anyways last week. I think they should have been higher than 21 last week, personally. I think the question for them is going to be Quinn Ewers, I think was out 4 to 6 weeks. Can he come back at the earlier half of that? And then
So if
can
he
Hudson Card be healthy? Because
so
that
if he
defense looked good, like we talked about. If Hudson Card can be a little more healthy, be able to run, have some more velocity, I think they have pretty good shot to win a few more games before Quinn comes back.
yeah, we will see.
Hmm.
Um
But I think if they can, I I don't know who they're playing. I know we had the conversation a couple weeks ago if they had a tougher schedule around the times Quinn's going to be gone now. Um, I think if they can come out undefeated or maybe just one loss out of that tougher stretch, that they're in a
yeah,
pretty good place with Quinn coming back.
I can agree. But if I'm looking, I mean, if we look at it, they'll get it. Wait, repeat what you just said because I got distracted. I'm sorry.
I think if they can come out of the next 4 weeks, I think when do they have a bye?
Um,
Is it four and then a bye, or is it three then a bye?
is neither of those two.
Oh, I thought I
They don't
remembered a bye.
they don't have a bye till November 20 or till October 29th, which means that Quinn Ewers will be back just in time to play Kansas State.
So he's gonna miss. He probably misses the Oklahoma game.
He probably misses the Oklahoma game. They might lose to West Virginia.
They might lose it. I mean, honestly,
Wait a second. How
maybe
does this
Tech.
score make any sense? I'm sorry. Um Kansas beat West Virginia 55-42 in overtime.
Pick six.
I guess but they scored 13 points in overtime. um yeah, anyway,
Let's
sorry.
see. UTSA hasn't looked bad. I don't think. I think they could beat them. Texas Tech looks pretty good. They beat Houston. That might be a closer game. I think they beat West Virginia.
Texas
Oklahoma is
Tech
going
has
to
a
be a
habit of
tough
beating
game.
people they shouldn't. Like a good habit of beating people they shouldn't.
I think they win their next three. I think they may lose Oklahoma. I think the best scenario for Texas is you go 3-1, lose to Oklahoma,
At that
maybe
point you're
have
out
him.
of playoffs.
If you could have him back for Iowa State, that'd be the best scenario for him, so he can get a game back before Oklahoma State. But really, they need him. I think if he's not back by Oklahoma State, I think they lose 2 games while he's out, and then you actually may be right about their schedule more than I was. But
And then I think Kansas State still beats them. I just have a feeling. Our defense looks fantastic.
we'll
Anyway,
see.
then we
My
have
my
Penn
only
State.
question with Kansas State is can Adrian Martinez step up when he needs to? Because he hasn't had to so far. It's just going to be can he
He
when
looked
he
a
needs
lot
to.
better this last game. Like just in general, he looked a
Yeah.
lot better.
The rain hurt him, but we'll have to see.
Right, but like his issue was always late turnovers that turned into stuff. I'm not seeing that from him this year. Like I'm just not.
I mean, you've got Oklahoma coming up in 2 weeks. That's going to be the big test. Y'all got a tough schedule. If y'all can come out, I think if y'all can come out with one loss by the end of the year, that would be very good.
And win the Big 12 with one loss, I think we're looking at a title situation.
Yeah, but I think that'll be tough. Oklahoma will be a good test. I think Oklahoma State will be a good test. If Quinn Ewers is back, Texas is a good test. Baylor too. It'll be tough, but we'll see how it turns out.
If I will say this, and this is just something I don't think you know, I believe we've beaten Oklahoma the last 3 or 4 years in a row. I
Lincoln
believe.
Riley also isn't there anymore.
Right. But we beat Lincoln Riley like 3 or 4 weeks or 3 or 4 years straight, I believe. Like I'd have to go back and look.
I do
Um,
know. I hadn't remembered it, but I do know that. Like that,
um,
y'all have at least kept it close the past few years. I know you've won at least once or twice.
yeah, we lost last year by 6. Um, we beat him the year before by 3, and the year before that we beat them by 7. Um, and then we lost pretty badly the year before. So we beat them 2 out of the last 3 years. I don't remember who's going where this season. If we're going to them, it might be close.
Um,
I think we're going to them.
yeah, at Oklahoma.
Yeah, so it might be close.
I think it's close regardless of where it's at because Oklahoma's a good team. Dylan
Are they?
Gabriel's looked good. They're number 6.
Who have they beaten? They beat Kent
Who
State.
have you beaten? I mean,
We
if you
beat
want to make
Missouri,
the argument of, oh no,
but
you beat Missouri.
yeah, but we've held them to we held Missouri and South Dakota to fewer points than they held Kent State and UTEP, even with that classless play at the end.
They allowed 3 points to Kent State.
Yeah, and they allowed 13 to UTEP. We'll see.
How many did y'all allow the first week? Or was it a
0.
shutout?
We shut them out.
Yeah, but I mean, those are 2 good defensive efforts. I don't think you can really be like, oh no, they allowed like 3 more points to awful
Right.
teams.
I know, but anyway, then we have
Yeah.
Penn State. I don't know who Penn State beat. Penn State beat Ohio. And
Beat
Purdue.
Ohio. They've got Auburn coming up.
Purdue
We got-
apparently is trying to be good because
Who is?
Purdue, they nearly beat Penn State. It was 35-31. Like
I
first
think
week.
Sean Clifford made a couple mistakes and think through a couple bad picks for him, but brought him back in that game, if I remember correctly. 23, we've got Pitt. I think that honestly, you may even could put Pitt a little higher than that.
I could see Pitt going above Penn State.
Yeah, I think they win this week and they probably go above them. 24, we've got A&M. They've got Miami coming up. Can't wait to see how that game turns
If
out.
both teams win this week, I think Penn State stays where they're at because they're playing Auburn. And Auburn that looks like absolute crap, but still in Auburn. I mean, technically, Auburn beat San Jose State. Technically, exactly.
Yeah, 24, we got A&M, Miami. Can't wait to watch Miami beat them up there. 25, we've got Oregon. They've got BYU. Again, so Oregon beat Eastern Washington 70-14.
Right.
Bo Nix did his Bo Nix thing, 28 of 33, 277, 5 touchdowns.
Yep, because they played nobody.
Yeah, so obviously the question there is, can Bo Nix show up? If they do, I think they have a chance against Miami, but I think Miami wins that game.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I agree.
No, they're facing BYU. They definitely need Bo Nix to show up. A&M's got Miami. That's the one I can't wait to watch.
Yeah.
Because I want to watch Miami beat them very badly. Right outside top 25, we got Marshall, Appalachian State, Cincinnati, Kansas State.
Wait, how many votes did K-State receive?
77.
How far out we were out by
12 off of Oregon, but then like Oregon was about 60 off of A&M.
Okay. So
there's a huge drop off in votes from Ole Miss at 20 to Texas, and then from Texas, Penn State's close, then from Penn State to Pittsburgh's a drop. And then
what I'm hearing
Oregon
is if we throttle Tulane like we've been throttling people, we'll be top 25 next week.
Probably 24-25, because I mean I think A&M loses. I think that opens spot.
Right, and then if we beat Oklahoma, we'll be good.
Yeah. So I guess I know you got to go soon, but
I got 20 minutes.
But I want to give talking about A&M. I'll preface this with I don't think Jimbo should be fired right now. I'll preface it with that. Nor do I think he will be fired right now. He's under contract at $9 million a year through 2031. You can't fire that guy.
You can't afford it.
No. So my argument's going to go a couple of different ways. So first, let's look at the recruiting classes, because I mean the recruiting classes under Jimbo have been great. 2018 was kind of the like crossover year of him just coming in, and they got 17. That's not a bad recruiting class. 2019 they got number 4. 2020 they got number 6. 21 they got number 8. And then of course last year they got number 1. So their recruiting classes under Jimbo have been elite. You can't say anything other than that.
Right.
He's got 4 top 8 classes in the last 4 years. That's elite recruiting. So then last year under Kevin Sumlin, they had to drop off. They were like 10-3, I think, the year before. Then they went to 7-6. Someone got fired. Jimbo comes in 2018, 9-4, 2019, 8-5. So better than someone's was, not too much better. But you can also say he was using his players, so that kind of makes sense. Then you come into 2020, that's been his best year at A&M. They were 9-1, but that was also Kellen Mond's last year at A&M. Kellen Mond did not come in as Jimbo Fisher. He came in under Kevin Sumlin.
Yeah.
So then coming in the last year, they had the number 4 and number 6 class. That would have been their juniors and their sophomores coming in that year. Last year they did beat us, but they only went 8-4 on the entire season. So if you're noticing a trend here, since 2018, when he took over, 9-4, 8-5, 9-1 in a shortened season, 8-4. There's not been much improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, I really haven't, just in watching them play, I haven't seen much improvement. They were improving early because he had Kellen Mond, who was pretty good at A&M. I always thought he was a little overrated. But that's also because I mainly watched him against us, and he didn't really play as well against us. But I mean, they went 9-1 his last year. Then he got drafted by the Vikings, just got cut. But they were 8-4. They beat Alabama, so at least you could say there's some sign of improvement. But you could also say the 8-4, be like, oh, they had Haynes King, who was going to be their starter, came in, got hurt the second game, but he threw 3 interceptions the first game. Didn't look particularly good until he got hurt last year. So they came back this year. Okay, our guy's back at quarterback. We're going to have a good year. First game, he was 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, threw a couple big plays, made a couple bad mistakes. Okay,
Right.
he's still young. We've got Appalachian State coming up next week. That's a good game for him to rebound on.
Oh gosh.
Then you come in and you lose, 17-14 to Appalachian State.
Yeah. It was rough.
A&M was nothing short of awful. And so I don't think Jimbo should be fired, but that's a horrible team to lose to in a horrible way. You only dropped 14 points on Appalachian State. Last week, North Carolina dropped 60 on them. You let North Carolina drop 60 and you're dropping 14.
But Appalachia State also dropped 60 on North Carolina.
Yeah, your defense is better than North Carolina's, but your offense was much worse. They dropped 60, you dropped 14.
Yeah.
On at that point, unranked team. I mean, Appalachian State has Chase Brights, who's a former Clemson backup at quarterback. Can't remember their coach's name. But that was an awful loss.
I agree with the Tennessean. The Tennessean said that Jimbo Fisher is just a rich man's Kevin Sumlin.
That's the exact article I have. So Kevin Sumlin's record through his first 50 games was 36-14.
Yep.
And if you remember, Kevin Sumlin was able to recruit Johnny Manziel to A&M and had a couple great seasons under Manziel. Yep. Then once Manziel left, he fell off. Guess Jimbo's record through his first 50 games.
35-15.
Yeah, you pulled up the article. Through his first 50 games, Jimbo had a worse record than Kevin Sumlin did with better recruiting. So with better players, he had a worse record.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. But when was Sumlin there? That's something to look at.
He got fired after 17. I think he was there from 10 or 11 to 17. You can look that up. So
he was there. If we look, he's from Alabama, by the way. He's from Bruton. But if we look, he was at A&M from 2012
to 12 to 17.
Okay. So in 2012, though, so this is something to look at. Well, I guess they were in. Yeah, that was their first year at Southeastern Conference. I guess that was just okay.
Yeah, they came in. I think he recruited Manziel, but they came in and had a couple really good seasons with Manziel there. But that's another argument is if you look at Jimbo's record, um, like just Jimbo at Florida State, at first he was 10-4, 9-4. Then I believe in 2012 is when Jameis Winston took over at quarterback. 12-2, 14-0, 13-1. So Jimbo's best years were with Jameis Winston at quarterback. And Jameis Winston was, I mean, he was an absolute stud. He went number one in the draft for a reason.
Yeah.
After Jameis left, 10-3, 10-3, 5-6. So honestly, without Jameis at Florida State, he was 10-4, 9-4, 10-3, 10-3, 5-6. That's pretty similar to what he's been at A&M, and he's not had a quarterback at A&M.
Yeah, but with 10-win seasons, I don't think anybody gets going except for maybe Dan Mullen.
Well, yeah, but he went five. What was it? 5-6 his last season and got fired.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a collapse after Jameis left. It took a minute for it to happen. Then he comes into A&M. I think A&M was undefeated one year with someone, I believe. And then one year they had one loss. I know I've got this. No, I don't have this pulled up. Oops.
Yeah, I see your argument.
Yeah. So
I agree with you though. I don't think he'll be gone.
I don't think he'll be gone. And I think there's one main reason I wouldn't fire him right now. And it's part of this number one recruiting class. Well, yes. But they in their class this year, they got a 5-star quarterback named Connor Weigman. I'm not sure how you say his last name. I'm just gonna call him Connor. He was, do I have this still pulled up? He was a very high recruit. He was, I mean, he was a 5-star. He was number 22 in the country. Number 2 quarterback in the class.
Yeah.
He's so according to 24/7 Sports, he's a projected first round pick, and they compared him to Dak Prescott. Dak was very good at really good at Michigan. No, Mississippi State.
Really good at Michigan. No,
I mean, Dak had a couple really good years at Mississippi State.
Dak is still in the NFL, isn't he?
He got hurt last night. He's the starting quarterback for the Cowboys.
I thought he was.
Yeah. But I mean, Dak Prescott's a very good comparison to have. Projected first round pick. Seems like I don't think he's going to be their guy this year. I mean, they started Haynes King, and King has not looked good. But I think
he might quickly become the guy. He might become the guy.
I think Connor could become the guy. I think if he becomes the guy, Jimbo might start doing well. If he can get a good quarterback, he might start doing well. But other than Jameis, he has not had a good quarterback. And when he's not had a good quarterback, he's been good, but he hasn't been great. He had the one last year of Kellen Mond when they went 9-1 in the shortened season with COVID. Very good year. But that was Kellen Mond's last year. He didn't recruit Kellen Mond.
Right.
He recruited, I believe he recruited Calzada. I mean, I would at least assume he did. He recruited Haynes King. Calzada got hurt. He's out. He's at Auburn. He's the backup there. Haynes King did not look good last year. Has really not looked good this year.
Yeah.
The team around him doesn't look bad, but you need in today's college football, you need a quarterback.
Right. And Jimbo especially is in need of that quarterback.
Yeah, he's done good, but not been good enough without a quarterback. I get he beat Alabama, and he's had good recruiting classes, but the teams haven't shown improvement under him really.
Yep.
And he's getting paid $9 million a year through 2031. I think that was a reaction off of the Alabama game. We beat Alabama.
He's tremendously overpaid.
Yeah.
Tremendously.
But we could look back at this in 3 years and they win a national championship with Connor at quarterback and go, we were maybe overreacting a bit, and I was right when I said Connor could help save them.
And leprechauns could ride flying pigs into Arkansas. I don't think it's going to happen.
Hold on.
Uh-oh, he's going to get something. Leprechauns could ride flying pigs.
His name is Grant Jr. I got him at church camp when I was a middle school counselor.
There's a joke somewhere there, but I'm not mean enough to make it. Anyway.
No, I did not steal a middle schooler from church camp. Is that the joke you were making, Grant?
It was similar to the joke I was making, correct. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna make the joke.
So that is my argument for why I think Jimbo Fisher. I wouldn't fire him now. I don't think he should, but so far he's not really impressed at A&M other than beating us last year. That's really been when your highlight of your career is in your fourth year, you beat Alabama.
Yeah, I think he'll beat Alabama again this year. I think all will be well with Jimbo Fisher. Um, anyway, I think that about does it for us today. Thank you so much for tuning in to all of the episodes that we're releasing from this. And yeah, for Grant, I've been Grant. Go check out Manscaped. Follow us places, be people, do nice things. Anyway, see you next time.